Hello everyone, welcome back to our Decision Framework series. As you know, I have introduced this series because I think it's important to take decisions. Sometimes we know how to develop, you have a set of features, but you have to take decisions about them. What are the most important ones? Who decides what are the most important ones? How should I create this architecture? What will be the dimensions of this architecture? What will be the language? What will be the cloud? What will be the features? And for that, for instance, we have the first principles approach on decision framework that is based on real facts, and you take decisions from there. If you want to prioritize, you can see my video, for instance, about the Moscow. So the must, the should, the could, and won't have features. But today I would like to talk about time boxing in decision frameworks, meaning, okay, let's take a decision and fast and with the complete focus on this activity. So it's another dimension to our decision frameworks. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to say which framework is best. All of them, they have a purpose, and sometimes you use one, and other times you'll use a second one. Maybe sometimes you combine both, and I will talk a little bit about that in this time boxing. But if you understand them, it's a set of tools that you can use and you can identify when you are in a specific scenario in your company or in your personal life and say, okay, I have a tool that I can use to take a good decision here. Maybe it will not be the best decision, but at least I can take a decision and I will not live in ambiguity without a lot of questions, without knowing when to stop to decide something. That's the main objective of decision frameworks. So let's focus now on the time boxing. This one, so what is time boxing? It's a time management technique. It's about time. Here we're fixed, this is the most important thing, non-negotiable unit of time. It's non-negotiable, meaning that after you commit to it, let's say 2 hours, it should be 2 hours. So it will make the people focus completely and be immersed on the decision about the subject that is under revision, for instance, during this time box. So it's allocated to an activity or decision making process. For instance, so of activity, if you are in software, probably you already work or will be working in something called sprints in Agile. So that's a time box. You have a sprint of 2 weeks, that's a time box. You have a sprint planning 2 hours, that's a time box. So people understand this is the limit of time and it's fixed, it's non-negotiable unit of time, and it's allocated to an activity, which in that case will be development or planning or retrospective and things like that, or a decision-making process. It's another use for this time boxing. So once the time is over, you stop working, and it's mandatory. Review progress and either decide or plan the next step. That's the main idea of the time box. It's not the time box, it's done, okay, nothing more to say. No, now you review it and you take a decision. But depending, of course, of what you decide to do during the time box. Emphasizes decision and clarity over perfection. Because one of the things, and I speak for myself, sometimes we try to get the perfection. What is the best tool? What is the best thing to do here? And sometimes there is no best. We have some constraints like people, languages, knowledge, time, and you have to take a decision. And the time box is a great tool for that. So you forget the perfection, say, okay, let's decide in this time. This is the time that I have. After this, I have to take a decision. Maybe it's not the best one, but it is a decision, so we can move forward, okay? We'll not stagnate in time, which is most of the time what happens when we try perfection. So why use time boxing? Combats analysis paralysis, as I was saying, encourages time awareness, facilitates interactive thinking. If you are with people, you start to talk clearly with them, you'll be very focused, you will not spend time explaining a lot of things, you try to get what is the most important words with most important facts for you to take the decision, for instance. Fits fast feedback environments like Agile or Lean, useful in decision frameworks that value clarity over completeness, meaning that sometimes you combine time boxing with other decision frameworks. So in practice, software architecture, for instance, to evaluate trade-offs under constraints, that it's quite clear this purpose. Project management, prevent over-planning, encourage momentum, meaning sometimes you have a big project and you try to plan everything. Okay, just focus. Just say, I will take 1 hour to plan this. I'll ask from stakeholders. I will sit with the customer and I'll take decisions for 1 hour. Let's see the requirements. What should go first? What are the most important? Let's put in 1 hour. Let's create a plan. Let's do it. That's one of the advantages of the time boxing. So in Agile, Scrum, keep ceremonies time-bound and productive. UX design, avoid pixel perfection and cheap interactions. Sometimes the image is not good enough. The design is not good enough. Okay, just put, okay, I will take these 4 hours after lunch. After that, what it is, it is. Of course, you should have a plan inside the time boxing so you can reach that, and you are sure that you create something. Maybe it will not be perfect, but will be enough, at least for, let's say, first version, second version of what we are doing. And daily life decisions, clarity, small to mid-scale decisions. Sometimes we just stop. I remember in the past, before buying a book, I researched everything. It took more time for me to research the book than probably the time that I will spend reading it. Maybe it was best to just take a time box, half an hour. Let's see the reviews. I'll choose this one. Maybe it's not the best, but at least I will learn something in the next days. If it is not good enough, I will buy another one. And sometimes it took 1 or 2 weeks for me to decide. It was just crazy. Yeah, but sometimes it happens. So real life examples, scenario, choose a career path or certification program. And I have been here, so sometimes I say, what will be my next certification? And there are a lot today. Nowadays, there are a lot of certifications. Should I invest 6 months in a cloud certification program? Which one? And then Google, Azure, AWS, there are a lot of them. And maybe you can say, okay, I'll go AWS because everyone is following it. It's most popular. It's not a good decision. Maybe you should see my video about first principles. Maybe it can be, but yeah, but it's based on the others, not on yourself. That's a bad start to take a decision. So time box 2 hours, split, for instance, over 1 day. And you say, okay, meaning that I will take 2 hours one day, 1 hour in one day and another hour in the next day, but I should be strict to that. So 30 minutes research top 3 certifications. For 30 minutes, I'll read stories about profession similar roles. I'll do a research. I go to websites, talk about Reddit and things like that. Then I will say, okay, let's create a map about the pros and cons against career goals, and then reflect what personal interests and energy, because myself, it's quite important to take this decision and then choose one based on this. By the way, each one is good because the knowledge behind them, it's the same. It's only the components that change the name and the database change the name, but the paradigm is almost the same. I once start with AWS, for instance, then I switched to Azure, then I had to work with Google, and the knowledge of one was very useful for the other one. It's just the names has changed and things like that, but at the end of the day, architecture is architecture and infrastructure is infrastructure. If this is one of the questions that you have, I'm already providing you in advance. Okay, I think you can take this decision in 2 hours. Outcome, decide on a path or a scope, a 1 week trial. Maybe this can be the decision. Okay, it's not clear for me, so my decision will be I'll create another time box for 1 week. Let's say AWS. I'll buy a course, for instance, in Udemy, and I'm trying it. Okay, it seems that I'm nice. Let me see some videos now about Azure. Maybe you can do during 1 week. You can, for instance, split between the 3 or something, and then you take the decision. Okay, the first decision is just to should I want to certification or not. I want. Let me choose now which one. Okay, I have to do a trial to see where I feel more comfortable and things like that. So why it works, prevents over-research because perfection leads to stagnation. Focus decision on values and goals. So in this you are only worried about what it's important. The small things you don't care because you have a strict time to take the decision. And promotes action over excitation. That's one advantage of the time box. So another software example, for instance, scenario, choosing a database, should you use Postgres, MongoDB, or DynamoDB? Okay, as an architect, I'm always on this dilemma when I'm developing a project, which database is the best here. There is no such thing. There are a lot of different databases, even for each provider like Azure, AWS, and things like that. Even local open source ones that I want to use to myself, it's always a challenge. So create a time box, analyze data, shape, and consistent needs, meaning do you want relational, non-relational, things like that. So maybe it's a graph database. Okay, which database provides that? Maybe for 45 minutes, you just, okay, these 2 or 3 provide that. Now review cost and performance in the cloud, how much it costs. And you see, okay, how much do you pay if you have to install one, if it's already there, how many, what will be the load in the future, so you can take decisions on that. In 30 minutes, I think it's enough for you to take that decision. Of course, you don't have to use this time. You can choose your own time, of course. check team skill set and complexity. If you are in a company, when you choose a database, it's important to understand if you have people that can manage it. Sometimes you have to choose a different database. It's not the best one, but you know that you have people in the company that can support it and help you to develop your project. Sometimes the developers don't understand this, but at the architectural level and management level, this is really important. What is the skill set that you have in your company? Build a spike for basic root, meaning, okay, do a trial, try to do some queries. Maybe most of, for instance, if it's in the cloud, most of them, they offer a free tier, so try and see how comfortable are with the queries. If they are good for your project, maybe it fits, one of the database fits better with the data that you have or the way you receive data and want to transform it to the database. And then review and decide next steps. You already created a spike, you already reviewed the skill set, the cost, you analyze the data. So now I think in 50 minutes, you have to choose one, maybe just to compare the results that you already have. So why it works: structured research and prototyping, cuts overthinking, align team with constraints. And this team is important because it's about this check team skill set here. For instance, Agile Scrum, if you work in software, sooner or later you will be working in Agile Scrum. And I just showed this picture because this is a set of time box. The Agile, it's the example, at least the sprints in Agile Scrum, it's about time box. You have a time box for a sprint, usually 2 weeks, but sometimes it's 1 month. In some companies, you have the daily meeting, which you have 1 day, then you have the daily Scrum meeting. So you have this time box of 1 day where you work, and then you do review. Remember that the time box says you do something, and then you review. And you can do it every sprint. You can do it daily with the daily Scrum meeting. Then you have the sprint review, again the review after this big time box here, and you have the retrospective. So you want to improve the next time box. So you are improving your process. Even the sprint planning has a time, sometimes 2 hours, 4 hours, depending on the number of the projects, and that's it. So at the end of the day, the Agile Scrum is just a set of time box. Okay, and it's probably the most popular method today when we are developing software. Okay, system diagram, just a decision if you are more a structured person. So you define the decision of the problem, you specify the time box, how much do you think that the time box is enough for you, break into subtasks, and it will be these subtasks that will be time boxed. It's not that there will be a time box of 4 hours. Maybe you want to split this time box in different time boxes to take small decisions, depending, of course, on the task, if it's necessary or not. The subtasks, this is just, of course, a template. If you think, for instance, in Agile, you have a backlog, and usually you have a time box. Let's say I will try to make a release in 8 sprints, and let's see what we can do on that. And then you break in subtasks, which will be the sprints, and you put things there. Okay, then you perform the tasks within the time box, track time and focus completion. So it's the sprint ended, stop at the time limit. Now we make a decision. Okay, yes, it's releasable. No, it's not releasable. Play next time box if necessary. If you are, for instance, in sprint, of course, there will be a lot of times the next time box. If it's just, for instance, a spike or something, probably we take a decision, say, okay, it's okay. So log learnings and outcomes. But at the end of the day, it's time box that it's important. So, of course, there are anti-patterns, things that you should. It's not that is the solution. Every decision framework has its pros and cons, so make sure you understand them. So rushing irreversible or risky decisions, legal things that requires research, don't put a time box. Maybe you can do a time box just to split your time. That's something that sometimes I do when I have to deep thinking about something. I don't know how much time I will take, but I try to create increments with time box. I'll say today I will be 1 hour doing this, and I will try to at least collect 1 or 2 decision points or important points or review something. And then that's it. Then tomorrow I'll take another hour. Maybe you can do this approach. Don't think that I will create a time box for 2 days. What it is, it is. Okay, if you are a lawyer, it will be very dangerous for your customer. For instance, maybe after the 2 days you could have find something more profitable to your customer, but because you thought that, okay, it's a time box, I should stop. No, that's not a good idea. Why it fails? Some decisions need due diligence. Okay, overtaking tasks in a single time box, trying research, analysis, meetings, talks in 30 minutes. Why it fails? creates false urgency and surface level output. Try to create a time box with a focus. For instance, when I'm in sprint plannings in my company, sometimes I always ask, what is the objective of this sprint? What do we want to accomplish? And it should be easy to understand. So that's the purpose, and we have to understand it. I won't say I will do this and then this, and there's a lot of dependencies inside the same time box. It will be difficult because it's very we have to think in a lot of different things to review later. So try to stick to a very clear objective. By the way, in Sprint, the researchers do the planning and the analysis and meetings most of the time. Then there will be the development if you want to apply this overstaking, let's say, to Agile. No review or debrief, that's another error. It breaks the proper definition of time box, just stopping and moving on. So I decided that's okay. Now review it. Maybe I decided this and I say, okay, it seems okay, but let me ask someone. Let's review this with someone. What do you think? I decide this on my career. I go Azure because of this and this. And sometimes people say, okay, it's a good idea. It's as good as another cloud or another certification that you want. Why not? Or maybe the PSO decides, brings a point that you never talked about it, and they say, okay, maybe you're right. Okay, let me rethink this. Maybe you can create another time box, and now you decide. Okay, but stop at some point. Sometimes it can happen. But the thing here is that, okay, it's not that you create time box ones after the others. Otherwise, again, the purpose of the time box was just like Pomodoro, when people are studying, say, I'll do a first 25 minutes and another, then another. Okay, if you never stop, okay. It's just like it's falling. It's just to stop to rest, and then it's a good stop to do. But okay, be careful with that. But try to focus and try to bring increments like Agile. If you are from software, you understand what I'm saying. So best practice: scope one task per time box. Leave time for review and adjustment. Track what worked and didn't. That's quite important. Okay, combine with Moscow prioritization, first principles, dot voting, weighted scoring. I will present example for these two. This one I will not present here an example because I will talk about this decision framework in another time. But you can research on the internet or something what this decision framework does. So let's see on the Moscow. If you can check my video about it. But at the end of the day, just these capitalized letters: must, should, could, want. It means that you have a set of things that you want to prioritize, and you have to decide, okay, what is a must? Of course, you and other people like stakeholders, customers, things like that. What should be, what could be, like nice to have, and what won't be. And you can combine in a time box. Imagine that you have a sprint planning 2 hours, which is your time box, and now you use this method to understand, to prioritize your backlog and what should be the to-do for this sprint. And you can take decisions for your life. What is the most important thing to do in my life now? Maybe I have to read this book. Maybe I have to take this certification. Maybe I want to study this. Maybe I need to create an external source of income. And this is a must because of this. And you take one time and you decide these kind of things. And you decide what is a must, what is a should, what is a could, what is a want. If you want more details about Moscow, again, I created a video. I think it was the video before this one. So let's say you have a time box, a 30-minute session, and you label all the tasks. What are the must, what are the should, what are the could, what are the want. Prevents endless debate of what should and could. Because everyone wants everything, but if you put this 4 and people have to decide in a specific set of time in a time box, it will be better. Drives commitment after the time box ends, meaning, okay, this is our time box, 2 hours. After 2 hours, it's decided, we should start with what we decided. So Moscow brings structure because it brings the prioritization. It's like working as 4 buckets, one of them more important than the others. This is a kind of prioritization because you have must, should is it's after must, could is after should, and want after could. So and time box enforces closure. Okay. The other one, it's the first principles thinking. Sometimes it's useful to combine with time boxing. The first principle says that break problem into basic truths, subtasks. That's something that is true. For instance, my company, all the people are Java and Python. So but we want to create microservice, and one of the popular language on microservice is Go. So you should go with Go because everyone is doing. That's not based on truth facts. The truth facts in your company is that people don't know Go. They know Python and Java. So maybe you should choose Java, or Python. You have to take the decision based on the truths that you have in a company, because it will increase your success. It's not popular, but it works, and it will, and your company can profit more than teach everything about Go, or maybe hire people with Go and what to do with the other people. There are a lot of things. And this is just one example. There are other examples. So you understand what is the basic truth and rebuild from the ground up. So first you take all the truths, and now you gather all of them to make your decision. So use case, product trade-off decision, time box each phase, for instance, 15, 20 minutes, list assumptions, challenge against, of course, the basic truths, reconstruct a linear model. Why it works? First principles bring depth to your decision. Time box adds discipline and boundaries. Okay. So in summary, technique Moscov adds prioritization clarity, and the time box efficiency and closure. First principles, depth and grounded reasoning. It's based on truth. And the time box, boundaries and structure. Time box alone, focus and urgency. When you have to take decisions about, you need focus and it should be urgent, choose time boxing. Then you can combine with other decision frameworks that you can learn, for instance, from my videos if you want. Time boxing isn't just about doing things faster. It's about deciding better with intention and focus. That's the most important thing about the time boxing. Use it to create flow, make room for action, and move beyond overthinking. And I will say this is move beyond overthinking. And again, I speak for myself. I committed this error a lot of times. So time to time box. Next time you're stuck in a decision, set a timer, define a goal, and go. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was useful for you. I will create more about the decision frameworks, of course, without forgetting the other subject I'm introducing, like Spring Boot and things like that. But I think these two subjects at the same time, I think it brings more, let's say, completeness to the tools that I think a developer, software engineering, an architect, a leader should have. So again, thanks for watching my video, and I hope to see you in my next videos.